Some of the smartest people in history changed the world, yet failed to manage their own money. Intelligence builds cities, cures diseases, and sends humans to space. But when it comes to personal finance, brilliance alone is not enough. This is not a story about ignorance. This is a story about the paradox of the human mind. Intelligence has long been celebrated as humanity's greatest advantage. From ancient philosophers to modern scientists, society often assumes that a sharp mind naturally leads to wise decisions in every area of life. Yet history tells a different story when it comes to money. To understand this paradox, it helps to first define what intelligence really is. Traditional measures of intelligence focus on problem solving, logical reasoning, memory, and analytical thinking. These abilities are incredibly powerful in science, mathematics, medicine, and technology. However, money decisions are rarely purely logical. They are emotional, social, and deeply tied to identity, fear, confidence, and impulse. Financial choices involve uncertainty, delayed rewards, risk tolerance, and personal values areas where raw intelligence offers no automatic protection. Throughout history, many of the world's brightest minds struggled financially. The famous inventor, Nikola Tesla, revolutionized electricity and modern engineering. Yet he died in poverty, largely due to poor financial planning and misplaced trust in business partners. The writer Edgar Allan Poe, widely regarded as a literary genius, faced lifelong financial instability despite his success. Even Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientists in history, lost a significant portion of his wealth during the South Sea Bubble of 1720, an early financial market crash fueled by speculation and herd behavior. These examples reveal an important truth. Intelligence does not shield people from emotional decisions, social pressure, or overconfidence. One of the primary reasons smart people struggle with money is overconfidence. High intelligence often leads to success in specific domains, and that success can create the illusion of universal competence. Psychologists call this the overconfidence effect, a well-documented cognitive bias where people overestimate their knowledge or abilities. When intelligent individuals succeed academically or professionally, they may assume they can easily master personal finance without guidance or discipline. This belief can lead them to ignore basic financial principles, underestimate risk, or dismiss advice from others. In investing, overconfidence often results in excessive trading, risky speculation, or the belief that one can consistently outperform the market, despite strong historical evidence showing that even professionals rarely do so over long periods. Another key factor is the misunderstanding of money itself. Money is often perceived as a purely mathematical system, but in reality, it is a behavioral system. Personal finance depends less on complex calculations and more on habits, patience, and self-control. Studies in behavioral economics, particularly those popularized by researchers like Daniel Kahneman and Richard Thaler, have shown that humans routinely make irrational financial decisions, even when they understand the correct choice intellectually. Smart people are not immune to these biases. In fact, they may be more skilled at rationalizing poor decisions, constructing clever explanations for choices driven by emotion rather than logic. Delayed gratification is another major challenge. Intelligent individuals often work in fields where effort leads to long-term rewards: education, research, innovation. Ironically, this can make money feel secondary or unimportant. Many smart people focus intensely on intellectual or creative pursuits, assuming financial stability will naturally follow. When income finally arrives, spending may become impulsive or unstructured, as money is treated as a reward rather than a resource to manage carefully. This mindset can lead to lifestyle inflation, where expenses rise just as quickly as income, leaving little room for savings or long-term security. There is also the issue of risk perception. Smart people are often comfortable with complexity and uncertainty, which can make financial risk feel manageable or even exciting. While calculated risk is essential for progress, financial markets punish misplaced confidence. History shows that market bubbles from the Dutch tulip mania in the 17th century to the dot-com crash of the early 2000s were driven not by ignorance alone, but by highly educated individuals convinced they understood the system better than others. Intelligence can make it easier to build convincing narratives around risky behavior, masking danger behind sophisticated reasoning. Social and cultural factors also play a role. In many societies, discussing money is considered uncomfortable or impolite, especially among educated or professional groups. Smart people may feel that focusing on money is shallow or beneath them, associating financial planning with materialism rather than responsibility. This attitude can discourage learning basic financial skills early in life. Formal education systems reinforce this gap. While schools teach advanced mathematics and science, they often neglect practical financial education, leaving even the brightest students unprepared for real-world money decisions. Emotional attachment further complicates financial behavior. Smart people often identify strongly with their ideas, careers, or creative work. This identity can influence money choices in harmful ways. For example, an entrepreneur may continue funding a failing business because it represents years of intellectual effort, a phenomenon known as the sunk cost fallacy. An academic may reject higher-paying opportunities out of loyalty to an institution, even when financial strain becomes severe. These decisions are not irrational in a moral sense, but they can be financially damaging. Modern financial systems also exploit human psychology. Advertising, consumer credit, and digital spending tools are designed to encourage impulsive behavior. Intelligent consumers are not exempt from these influences. In fact, higher income and credit access can increase vulnerability to debt. Credit cards, loans, and investment platforms create the illusion of control and flexibility while masking long-term consequences. Historically, rising consumer debt in developed economies has affected professionals and educated workers as much as any other group, demonstrating that intelligence does not equal financial discipline. Importantly, being bad with money does not mean being incapable of improvement. Research consistently shows that financial success is more closely linked to behavior than intellect. Simple habits such as budgeting, saving automatically, diversifying investments, and avoiding unnecessary debt require consistency, not genius. Many financially successful individuals rely on rules, routines, and external systems precisely because they understand their own psychological weaknesses. In contrast, smart people may resist such structures, believing they can rely on judgment alone. Ultimately, the idea that intelligence guarantees financial wisdom is a myth. Money operates at the intersection of psychology, culture, and time. It rewards patience over brilliance, discipline over insight, and humility over confidence. History reminds us that even the brightest minds are human first, vulnerable to the same fears, desires, and biases as everyone else. Understanding this does not diminish intelligence, it humanizes it. And perhaps the greatest financial skill is not knowing more, but knowing ourselves well enough to act wisely, even when our own minds try to convince us otherwise. In the end, money does not reward intelligence alone. It rewards patience, humility, and self-control. History shows us that brilliance without discipline can still lead to loss. The real challenge is not understanding numbers, markets, or systems. The real challenge is understanding ourselves. Because the smartest decision we can ever make with money is not proving how clever we are, but learning when not to trust our own minds.